So welcome to Triple J Soul Control. Thanks for coming in, Masego.
Congrats to you. This is a big deal.
Oh my gosh. Me being here with you, having this chat.
No, this is a good career.
Oh, okay. Just broadly.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I do feel blessed to have the chat with you. But yeah, thank you. It's been a long time coming. So
I imagine.
getting the conversations I want to have and getting people in the studio like you is sort of the dream. So thank you for making it real.
Shout out to me.
So I was at your show. I'm just going to talk for reference for you. Because
Okay.
it's going to air on Monday. I'll talk in like a little bit of a broader, ambiguous past tense, if that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow your heart.
Yeah. So I was at your show the other night. Let's talk about it. There are so many props that you pull up on stage.
Really?
Let's go through it. We've got the flowers. We're throwing it out to the crowd. We've got the money. Is it real money?
I think money is things that people value, and people valued that money I threw.
They did. Does it have your face on it? I
Indeed
didn't get
it
a close
does.
up. I tried to look on TikTok to see what was going on there.
You gotta pull up on me.
Yeah. The chef's sort of, what's it called when you put the little chef apron on? Why that? Why did you need that in that moment?
Well, I'm from the South, and when
A
we do
cookout.
something, we cook outside, cook out. So, I mean, it's just different ways to show people in a different country your culture.
Yeah, I love it. I think it was just really funny to me that in my mind, listening to your record, I was like, this is going to be a beautiful, sensual, like romanticized evening, but you're laughing the whole time, or you're laughing with us or encouraging people to just
Love is hilarious.
take the piss out of it a little bit. Yeah. Why is that the way that you want to approach your live shows?
I think I particularly am jovial in how I approach things. And I think that's kind of the underlying through line of my music. It's like a lightheartedness with something that might be more serious, like a relationship, like whatever. And it's just kind of the way I view everything. Like I feel like we're all performative. And so I get to do my performative thing through the lens of my own song lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So I think of everything as an audition and a performance. And I feel like that's just a part of it, the stage show,
I feel like in jazz, that's such a rare thing. Like it is so serious. You've got to be quiet.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to be respectful.
Jazz.
Yeah. So how did you get that opportunity in your life to be like, no, stuff that. Stuff all of those norms in these usual worlds of music where it's taken seriously and in that way?
I mean, as we learned before air, I'm a rebel.
You're breaking rules.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a rule breaker. So, I think that's what it is. When you're thinking about jazz initially, it was going kind of against the classical music, which had such a structure to it. And even though jazz has structure, it's a fluidity within it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll know what key the song should be in or what type of, subgenre. And then within that, you can color. Classical is like, if it's not on the sheet paper, don't play it. And so I feel like when it comes to the saxophone, you think, oh, jazz, sophistication, library, whatever. But I think of jazz as the free form of it. So I feel like you can really fuse things together. You can get crazy with it. You can be very expressive. And that's the part of jazz I kind of take during the show,
Let's talk about the saxophone. When the show started,
Yeah.
that first note on the saxophone screams throughout the whole forum. Obviously, the association starts off as a very sensual instrument, but you've had a longer relationship with it. It's something you chose to sort of learn as you were younger and as you got older. I guess there's a lot more stories and attachment to that. Can you tell me what the saxophone means to you?
It's kind of like Thor's hammer at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it's like an extension of me. And I think it's kind of like my flag at this point. Like, you associate it with me, and I get to kind of redefine what people associate with the saxophone. Because you think of a certain guy wearing a button shirt with the saxophone or that little straw hat. But it's like, this man has on rapper
Fedora.
chains and his abs are out, and he also's got these pants. It's like, it's a different pairing with this instrument. So it's just, it allows me to express myself where there's a ceiling to like what I'm singing or speaking. So I just let it take it further. But yeah, it's a cool instrument.
So let's jump into your latest album, the self-titled. At the beginning, Black Anime starts it off. And I think I saw on your Twitter, was that your leg that got tattooed in Japan?
Yeah, it's on me right now.
Yeah, what's the tattoo? Tell me the story about that.
That's Howl's Moving Castle. So like Hayao Miyazaki has a beautiful movie, and then Joe Hisaishi has a great score with that movie, and I'm like a fanboy of them both. And so that's my favorite movie because of I like a waltz. You know what I mean? They don't do waltzes these days. It's a beautiful waltz. It's cute, and it feels very emotional, which is most of anime. So love it. It's on my leg.
And when it comes to black anime, what is that? I feel like these are two very separate worlds in theory.
I mean, if you look at so much anime, you see a bunch of black culture. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? So I just feel like the way that I'm showing that art field is just through the lens of being more expansive with your viewpoint, seeing what this color palette or this design or this was referenced from, and just trace it. And there was a lot of animes in the past that just have depicted black people different ways, and I feel like just it's always been black people kind of adding sauce to some anime, like they're the cool character or they're the this, and so I felt like my life is an anime.
It's refreshing. How was that time in Japan?
It's cool. Got some good pants.
They do have really good style pants in Japan. The cuts are phenomenal.
Great pants, good denim.
Looking at what you just discussed, that idea of, I guess, the worlds being so broad and opportunistic for you to do whatever you like. You've expressed music and the way that you write your music to be in a similar way, where it's creating this whole new world for people, which is a really beautiful and not very limiting space. And I was looking at how you'd grown up and how university was really interesting, where you watch people sort of create every version of themselves, from fashion to like style to like little tiny bits of branding like font. And that really inspired you to create everything around your branding. So can you tell us what you would recommend for someone who's starting out, like how to even do that, how to begin?
I think you need to journal and ask yourself certain questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, not the corny, where would I be in 5 years, but starting in that thought process of who is this person you're trying to be, and then vividly picture that person. And the more that you know yourself, the more that your branding just becomes automatic. You don't have to turn it on, put it on. It's just like who you are. So I feel like the more self-reflection and questions and time with yourself, that's what's going to do it. Like whatever time you can carve with just you and learning you before any of the art, that's the first step.
A really beautiful piece of knowledge I learned about this latest record for you was that you're in a room with men this time round. Very different setting to what you'd done on the previous records. And it got me thinking about masculinity and working that out for yourself as a young man as you grow up. Can you tell me some of the pivotal moments or some of those discussions that really made you think a bit differently about who you were and what you wanted to represent?
Yeah. I feel like it's like an accountability thing. You know what I'm saying? When you're in a studio with a group of guys, you're just talking about life, love, and money, and food, and women, and all that. And as you're talking, the difference is they'll interject with some like accountability, like, oh, no, you're not supposed to be doing this, or like you should flip it like that, or defend your position in this way that you're moving. So being challenged and the accountability is the main difference, because we're going through life and discussing things like usual, but the difference is that room is kind of checking you. And so in the music, you're not just freestyling, you're going back and you're kind of shifting some things, making sure you can defend the decision. Whereas in the other room, it's more kind of feeling based. It's like, what does this feel like? Where does this take me? But it's a little more nitty gritty with the room full of the guys, a little more logical.
You've really separated yourself from the concept of fame more recently. And I wondered how you actually pumped the brakes on being on that bandwagon. It seems like a pretty hard thing to do once you're there.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I take my ball and go home a lot. You know what I mean?
You call it early.
I really feel like to get me to do anything, I have to want it. Like because I don't desire the intangibles or whatever. So I don't know, how did I separate myself? I just don't really work well with people that wear suits, and they just kind of leave me alone. I'm a rebel. I'm a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I already have the things that I would need. So you kind of can't wave anything against me. You know what I mean? So I think I might be a little too clever with knowing, you know, the things that people could say that to make you work harder for something that's not, you'll be crying on Plastic Mountain type of vibe, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I just want to get better for me. Like, I want to be a fire, like, polyglot and a musician on all these instruments. Like, I just want to be this person that I've, you know, dreamt about and painted. So that's what motivates me. Not like, oh, I need someone to tell me I'm lit. It's just like, I'm way past that in life. Like, I'm trying to just outplay my drummer on drums.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
There is a really interesting set of lyrics in Afraid of Water. It's almost a poetic diss that I think if I had these
Ooh.
lyrics written about me, I'd be like, it's sick, but it would make me reflect a little bit. So the baby shallow, she afraid of water. She said she can't swim. I think I'm a caller. Yeah, my baby shallow, she afraid of water. She said she can't swim. Don't know why I even bother.
Why?
What is going on? There's so much back and forth in that situation. Who is this person? Do they actually exist?
This is a family show, so I'll save you all the real story. But
Okay.
we can find a metaphor. I feel like when you're not supposed to be with someone, it almost makes that interaction have a little like vignette over it or something. You know, it's just a little bit of, why are we here? We ain't supposed to be doing this. I feel like that's I don't even know why I even bother, but you kind of remember later. Or, perfect example, there's a lot of people I know that in their presence, love it, kicking it, ooh, bum, bum, bum. As soon as we separate, it's like, why are we friends? This communication on the phone is just,
It's
not,
dead.
it's not my cup of tea. But then in their presence, it's like, oh man, you great in person. Yeah. So, it's the same thing. It's like, why do I even bother is when you're reflecting and thinking clearly. But when you're in somebody's energy, you're just like,
Get caught up.
I like being here.
I really love a moment at the end of Remembering Sundays. It sort of reminded me of Plantasia. Have you heard of that record?
Plantasia?
Yeah. Have you not heard of it before?
Bau.
Oh my gosh. So it's Mort Garson, and he pretty much wrote music for plants. And it's like beautiful
Interesting.
synthesizer stuff. You have to listen to it. But essentially, I just really enjoyed the space that you created at the end of that song and the beauty. And it very much felt like you were in a garden. But I wondered where it actually was inspired by. It seems like all these little locations around the world pop up in your music. So where was that one?
You'll be surprised. We made that in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh.
So I would imagine your all's depiction of Alabama is
Yeah.
not
Probably not
a
correct.
garden with synthesizers.
Yeah.
But the thing about that location was there's a very black affluent town. It's like a tech town. And so all of the houses have this traditional aesthetic, but inside there's always a different experience. So the producer, Wu-Ten, in his house is like what it sounds like in there. It's just this whimsical Black Willy Wonka character. And so we had the instruments to kind of score what the room looked like, and it was that. Very floral, plants, hints of royal pinks and burnt oranges or whatever. So, like, it makes it naturally.
I love that. Another place that I want to travel with you to is Brazil. The way you've spoken about Brazil is so stunning. I think the part, like, of course, there's always points of connection when it comes to culture through food, right? Like, that's so common for brown people, black people. But it's the way that you spoke about melodies and how they are so stunning to you when you first heard them, and it really made you want to stay there. And it made me think about the fact that there's lineage that could splinter off from West Africa through slaves and actually reconnect later on.
You got it.
How has that been, spending time in Brazil? How has that inspired you? Why do you think it is something that you need to sort of imprint in your records?
I love Brazil. But like I want to differentiate myself from like gringos that just kind of come over there for the image of carnival and the typical Brazil sensuality that's over it.
Yeah.
It's the music that got me. Like Georgia Ben George, Bette Gil, Djavan, like the way that they write about life and love is so pure and not performative. It's like you really are comparing her to this thing. Or their word saudade, which means like, I don't just miss you, I appreciate the time we spent together, and I'm reminiscing on that moment I know I won't feel again. Like all of that is what one word is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a much more heavy, expressive language. And I think I resonate with that because the way that I treat a lot of things is it can't be described in English. Just saying, oh, yeah, I like you. You cool. You're my friend. They have words that really let you know how you feel about something or someone. I forgot what the question was, but
oh, no, that's
I like
okay.
Brazil.
Yeah, I think we classified that bit. Are you going to go back there to have some more writing time?
Yeah, I'll be there in like a week.
Oh my gosh, already.
Something
Once
like
you
that.
finish up in Australia, you'll be jetting off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a Brazilian guy.
What do you do when you're there? Like, what are the spaces that you sit in? Who do you hang out with?
I mean, DJs, because they have the best music.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disco
They get you
Peja,
up to date real quick, I guess.
beautifully quick. Because
Yeah.
they have like all vinyl parties out there called Disco Peja. I have a cafe and a wellness center out there too. So I just go there and like build it up a little bit, architect things. And what else? I'm just at the food spots. You know what I mean? I just kind of find the food.
There's
Just-
something different about like that culture, just being outside the mixed spaces that
They
are
all
not
have
within
abs.
your home.
Like they're walking and upstairs, like abs.
The wellness thing is a real important part to you to reset.
Yeah, I got like a villain origin story against like health.
Oh,
Because
what's
that vaccine made me sick as
Oh no.
bejesus. So I just like got super into health to understand how to get me right and then those around me. But that was my villain origin story.
Okay.
I done
That's
stabbed
where
my
it stems
arm,
from.
got me sneezing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That would have been so
Foolishness.
tough. I feel like just to finish off, I do this little section called the honey pot. So essentially every guest that comes in,
Yeah.
they give us a song to put in the honey pot. So at the end of the year, we can sort of look back on that in this warm, lovely way.
Like a yearbook?
Yeah,
got you.
exactly. So I wanted to know from you if there's a particular song that our audience on Soul Control should know and be across.
I got something.
Straight away. Normally I have to give a prompt.
No,
You've
I
done
don't even
really
need that.
well.
I'm the one. Woman's Touch, Use of Days.
Oh,
Jamila
yes.
Berry. It's funny, like I'm on this album, and you might not know. Sometimes you just do things. Like you don't really like understand the larger body of work you're a part of. But I was cleaning my house, listening to his whole album, and I was like, oh, this is a fire album. I'm on this album too, cool. But this record in particular, it's like you feel when a person has arrived sonically and musically and is like that fully realized artist. Like he's respected by jazz people, regular people. It's just, this is a great artist. You know what I mean? But that song is gas. Woman's
Great.
Touch.
Great choice. Well, thank you so much for joining me here on Triple J Soul Control, Masego.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the honey pot. Wow.
Of course.